Welcome back to the news at 10. Investors in the power sector have been advocating for an increase in electricity tariffs, and recent media reports that consumers will start paying more by the end of October 2015 might suggest the authorities have heeded their calls. However, most consumers have faulted the proposed increase in tariffs, arguing that the government should only review tariffs when issues such as arbitrary billings, metering and inadequate power supply have been resolved. Our big story tonight takes a look at the rationale behind this.
When the new investors took over the assets of the PHCN in 2013, many Nigerians expected to see an immediate increase in electricity supply, but that did not happen. Factors such as pipeline vandalization, energy theft and dilapidated equipment are believed to be the major hindrances to achieving steady power supply. Now, this inadequacy in power supply explains consumers' frustration over any planned increase in electricity tariff.
If you do pay as you go, it's okay. But what I don't use, you say I should be paying. It's not good enough.
I think government should just calm down about increasing tariff until they are sure of supply.
Interestingly, in the past few weeks, there's been some level of improvement in electricity supply in some parts of the country. Reports say power generation climbed to an all-time high of 4,810.7 megawatts in August this year. But latest figures from the Presidential Task Force on Power showed that it had fallen to 4,453.9 megawatts as at September 16. That's far better than what it used to be. Many have attributed this recent increase to the rains, but the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission says rainfall is not much of a factor.
We have a stronger stimuli in terms of presidential directive. We have stronger stimuli in terms of more discipline arising from the fallout of the Buhari bounce. And the idea now, our challenge is to realize that bounce, the way that it's not just a one-off thing, so that when people are relaxed, then they slack in their effort.
But to sustain this improvement in electricity supply, Nigeria needs a commercially viable market.
Obviously, they have to be increasing tariff. Within the West African region, we have the lowest tariff. But more importantly, if we really want to see good development in the sector, they have to be a cost-effective tariff for investors to put in their money.
Increase in electricity tariff may be imminent, but the good news is that the regulator says it has developed a better tariff process.
This is the first industry in this country where tariff setting is a shared responsibility. The discos are talking to the consumers. Now, after they have sent us the report, which they did last week, we are now going to open up for consultation again and ask all consumers who don't agree with the figures. We're going to post every data in our website now. And then everybody who wants to can download them, go through those figures, contradict them and come to our public hearing and said, NEC, do not approve this figure because it's not justified by the investment that this company is making or wants to make.
The issue of overbilling and metering is another challenge consumers have to cope with.
NEC, the regulator, came up long before privatization with a Camp Me program. Camp Me is what enables subscribers pay for their meters, and then you reduce it over a period of time from their fixed charges. So if you pay, they should properly meter you. So really there should be no reason why the discos should not be liquid enough under that program. But guess what? At the point of takeover by the new investors, many subscribers had paid, but the money was not there. And they had not gotten their meters either. So again, that was inherited. So a lot of these discos have now come up with metering programs. And with the best of intentions, it will take some time before you get full metering.
We are on the heels of these airing discos who have overbid customers. And through a clear, transparent, and rule-based process, we'll investigate, we'll monitor, we'll review their defense, and we'll sanction them.
While the regulator and the operators try to deal with these issues, consumers are advised to be more efficient in the management of their consumption so as not to pay heavily for electricity. For the big story, Chimeze Obi-Iwagu, Channels Television News.
Let's cross over to the world of business now. Here's Emana Amawe.
You first. First Bank.
Welcome to Business News. The trading floors are quiet as trading engines are shut down on Broad Street in Nigeria following a two-day Muslim holiday announced by the government. On Wednesday, the CBN held the Treasury bills auction, issuing bills worth 100.88 billion naira, with the same amount maturing on the same day instead of Thursday because of the public holiday. Liquidity boost trimmed money market rates with open buyback at 23.3% and overnight money at 26.8%. Average NIBOR declined by 2.9% to settle at 16.2%. At the currency market, the official rate remains at 197 naira. It closed flat at the interbank foreign exchange market at 199 naira to the US dollar and traded at 222 naira to the dollar at the parallel market. And the three trading sessions at the Nigerian stock market paused the key benchmark index in a 0.69% week-on-week appreciation. Here's Harriet Agbeyin with the full update.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. There was only 3 days of trade this week as the federal government declared today and Friday, September 25th, as public holiday in commemoration of the Eid al-Kabir Salah celebration. The all-share index and market capitalization appreciated by 0.69% apiece to end the week at 30,543.17 and 10.49 trillion naira respectively. E-Transact was a top gainer for the week, advancing by 13.17% to close at 2 naira 75 kobo, followed by NEM Insurance with 7.69% and Seplat Petroleum Development Company with a 6.25% gain, making up the top three gainers for the week. In 3 days, 36 equities recorded percentage losses, led by Trans-Nationwide Express, Flour Mills Nigeria, and Honeywell Flour Mill of between 10 and 6%. This week, a turnover of 850.09 million shares worth 9.06 billion naira were exchanged in 9,414 deals. That's it on the Stock Market Report. I'm Harriet Agbeyin.
Thank you, Harriet. While Angola and Nigeria account for much of the growth in offshore oil projects in Africa since the year 2010, a new report released by the US-based Energy Information Administration has revealed. The report says more recent growth in active offshore rigs outside the US had occurred in Africa, with Angola leading with more than 10 offshore projects and Nigeria focusing on at least 3 deep-water projects, which are expected to come on stream within the next 5 years. The number of active offshore oil rigs has declined an estimated 20% worldwide since mid-2014 when oil prices started falling. At the Gulf of Mexico alone, active offshore has dropped by about 46%. And an estimated $2.6 trillion is now being redirected by oil companies away from fossil fuel production as climate change activists push for changes in the sector, accused for causing threats to the environment. A survey just released by Arabella Advisors says 436 institutions such as pension funds, faith-based groups and university endowments across the 43 countries have agreed to pull investments in the shares of fossil fuel companies. The latest report is released just as world leaders and industry chiefs meet at the United Nations for the Climate Week and the General Assembly. Reports say researchers want an estimated $100 trillion worth of oil, gas and coal reserves to remain unproduced to prevent climate crisis worldwide. At the crude oil markets, prices steadied at $48 a barrel today after a sharp fall on Wednesday on an unexpectedly large buildup in U.S. gasoline stocks and a tepid demand outlook. Brent crude climbed 27 cents to $48.02 a barrel after ending the previous session down $1.33. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude rose 35 cents to $44.83 a barrel, having slumped by $1.88 on Wednesday. Market watchers say despite early signs of a cutback in U.S. shale production, the underlying supply and demand fundamentals remain weak for both Brent and the West Texas Intermediate. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, that's OPEC, says the price of oil will rise gradually to $80 a barrel by 2020. The prediction is based on expectations that supply growth outside the group will weaken with time. According to OPEC, the average selling price of its crude will rise from $55 by about $5 annually until 2020. And while OPEC and International Energy Agency expect global supply to slow on low prices, Goldman Sachs Group Incorporated predicts that a persistent glut will keep crude low for the next 15 years. All equities at the global markets trended mostly southwards. Let's take a look. And that's it on Business News tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Imana Amawe. Ijoma will be back with the rest of the news at 10.
You first. First Bank.
The Niger Delta Development Commission has restated its resolve to ensure that quality, timely project delivery and implementation remain its watchword. These key objectives were the highlight of a 3-day training of NDDC engineers on the use of project quality control materials and equipment, which just ended in Port Harcourt. In his address, the NDDC Managing Director, Mr. Bassi Dan Abia, described the training as consistent with the focus of the new NDDC and policy change in the country.
Engineers of the Niger Delta Development Commission are here to enhance their working knowledge of improving the quality of all the Commission's projects.
These are the ability and the equipment available to you. And that's why we deem it necessary to say, let us improve on what we are doing, how to monitor projects, to make sure to effective control of what contractors are doing, to be able to measure the levels, the asphalt, and every other thing the contractors are doing.
While the engineers have a task ahead of them to fulfill, the NDDC Managing Director says this 3-day training became necessary because of the volume of infrastructure projects spread across the Niger Delta.
Our development is total, but infrastructure is very, very key. And of course, how can you handle that without the engineers? Because your projects are as good as the quality of the engineers, both design and supervision. So it is very, very critical that from time to time, our engineers should meet and re-strategize, review their performance, and then of course, quality control is key.
This training, amongst others, should hopefully improve the quality of NDDC projects in the Niger Delta region, as well as facilitate better infrastructure across the various states.
Well, the efforts of the Cross River State government to create jobs to ease unemployment have been boosted with the delivery of the first batch of equipment for the Calabar garment factory. Taking delivery of the equipment, the state governor Ben Ayade explained that the machines are automated so as to ensure that at least 1,000 people are employed, mostly women. The core investor, Giuseppe Jama, says that his company is bringing its expertise to bear in what will be the end product of the factory.
We will bring the expertise necessary for this kind of operation, which will be sartorial and technician for the machine to be operated properly. So we look forward to that, and we hope to have a long relationship with yourself and the state to benefit from that.
And when we were making this choice, our focus was on employment. So we refused to make it wholly automated. So it's semi-automation. Where we need precision, we brought in automation. Where we need some handwork, which was predominantly what we did. So most of the machines are man-made, handmade, hand-driven, but the technical parts, they are actually technology-driven. And we will therefore have cross-invariants who are ICT specialists to be trained by Satori, the Italian company, that will now prepare them.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Novak Djokovic wants immediate help for refugee children in Europe. That's on sports. You join us again.